Hello, City of Heroes and City of Villains fans. It's Tommy with another exciting video. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about my Huntsman build. Um, this is a build from the old live days. I have greatly updated it using information found in the City of Heroes forums and Reddit forums. I do not claim 100% credit for everything in this build. This build was first created, and I forget the person's name. I think it was Asiana back in the old live days of City of Heroes. But this build is amazing. There's various variations of it. Basically, you choose typically to go Bane or Crab Spider, but typically Bane in the power decision tree for the Arachnos Soldier. But you stick with the ranged rifle attacks and you double stack leadership. Now, all of the Arachnos soldiers of Arachnos ATs can double stack leadership, and they have a built in inherent fitness which stacks on top of stamina, which makes this much easier for them to carry those double buffs with them. But really, the Huntsman is just kind of cool because it's like you don't have to go completely down the Bane path, sorry, or the Crab Spider path to create a viable Soldier of Arachnos. This guy brings 21% defense to all teams. I could probably get this higher. I need to research some more. Plus 29% to hit. Probably close to 30 if I tweaked a few things, but right now it's at 29. Plus 30% damage. Plus a regular 40% damage resistant debuff to all damage coming from its various attacks when they stack up. So on an average, about 40% defense. And there's an additional 20% resistance to toxic damage that gets debuffed as well. Just incredible. So I'm going to look and go through how I built this. Again, I do not claim to have invented this build. I did have one of these back in the live days many years ago in the 2000s, early 2000s. I wanted another one. Uh-oh, gonna try to kick us off here. I wanted another one, make some action. So I went through the forums, I read and read and read, and I had tried to make this guy a while back. I believe this original, let's see how old he is. Sorry about that. Back in 2020, no, yeah, 2021. So he's been kind of sitting around because I was kind of dissatisfied with him, and like I said, I've got a ton of tunes. So I went back and revisited this years old build that just been sitting there doing nothing. Read through the forums, recalibrated him, and I'm pretty satisfied. I enjoy this build. The sad part about this is he doesn't have flashy heals. His buffs aren't flashy. Everything's happening in the background. So a lot of teams don't even know that you're making them harder to hit. You're making them hit harder and more often because of your buffs and debuffs. They just don't know. They don't see it. Every now and then I'll get a compliment when I'm playing this. Someone's like, "Oh my god, thank you for that soldier. My defense is like through the roof now. Give me 20% extra defense. My damage, I'm hitting harder." Some people will notice, but those tend to be the old school players or players who know the math of the game well. I do not know the math of the game well. Um, so this is Rattlefang. I do want to change his name. I think I'm going to change his name to Operative Fang, but that's another story. Um, and he has been amazing to play. I enjoy him. I know any team he's on, he's gonna succeed. Like especially now with harder content, and I've been testing him out against plus fives. I just did a plus five Callisti Wharf team with him, and I'm convinced the team was well built. A lot of good players on that team, but I also believe that that 30% damage buff and that 30% to hit buff greatly helped that team clear plus fives rather easily, combined with all the other buffs and debuffs going on. He will push any team over the edge, like over the top. that he joins. Being people that aren't slotted so well will suddenly find themselves hitting more frequently, more often, etc. So let's take a look at what I've done with this build. I'm just checking here too because it's been a while since I broadcasted, so I want to make sure stuff's working right. Let's take a peek. As you can see, this is a cheapskate build. I just was playing around. I didn't want to invest in a lot of purples. And he still gets, I'll show you the numbers. He still gets some amazing numbers considering this build has zero purple. There's no purple enhancements in this build. These are all builds that are running, in the 1 mil to maybe 5-6 mil range in general. You can find the most expensive things were these ones down here. I'll talk about that later. But in general, not very pricey to put together, and some stuff was just stuff I had hanging out in storage. So it worked out well. Probably the most expensive things were these uniques that we used and Luck of the Gambler, but still, you could run this build without that and still be pretty darned impressive. Single shot has got decimation, chance for buildup in it, and an Achilles Heel's resistance debuff. So this is adding another, I believe, 20% resistance to all to single shots already 7.5% resistance to all that it sends out when it shoots. So that's great. Again, burst also has a defense debuff in it, 7.5%. It's got the humble Thunderstrike set. So many decent bonuses with Thunderstrike. I think Thunderstrike is undervalued. You could load a build up with Thunderstrike and end up with some pretty decent defense to range, I believe. Um, am I right about that? Yeah, it gives a lot of defense to energy, negative energy range. It's a nice set. It doesn't look impressive until it starts stacking with other stuff, but then you start to appreciate it. Nice set. Heavy burst. Again, this is Frankenslotted. I had these in storage. It just made sense to use them here. So heavy burst has got 3 of the annihilation set in it, with that chance for resistance. Again, giving me another. I believe this is also another 20% damage resist chance on top of the 7.5% damage resistance debuff that's already giving, and then 3 of bombardment. There's a chance for fire damage. I think this is a budget way to get some decent performance out of heavy burst. I think in many ways close to, well, not exactly as good as a purple set like a winter set or something, but not bad and cheap. And I'm very happy with it. As you'll see, it performs well. Venom Grenade, just a full slot of Positron's Blast and a chance for energy damage in there. And again, Venom Grenade does, I believe, if I'm right, Venom Grenade does 20% damage resistance to all and an additional 20% damage resistance to toxic debuff. And Venom Grenade is also regularly stacking with all the other defense debuffs, damage resistance debuffs, sorry, that you're pumping out, and it's just great, and it does some toxic damage, which also helps. Since it debuffs the toxic damage as well as deals toxic DOT damage, it's great. I've got no complaints. Bosses melt. Wide area web grenade. It's got the humble enfeebled operations set, a very overlooked set. Look at all those bonuses. Very overlooked set that can push your build, push your recharge up, put your defense to most damage in the game up, a lot of damage in the game up. Really nice, really nice set. Overlooked and cheap. Frag grenade, a little bit of a non-traditional slotting here, but again, I was going by what I already had. I already had some of the sudden acceleration set, so I just went with it. And then I had this force feedback hanging out post recharge. So its knockback's turned to knockdown. It's getting decent accuracy and damage buffs from the sudden acceleration set itself, and then you add that chance for recharge at the end, and it's beautiful. A wonderful frag grenade, and every now and then it buffs my recharge, and I love it. Bayonet, I stuck kinetic combat in there. That chance for knockdown hits a lot, and it's hilarious. Also, kind of interesting. Bayonet, when you're stealthed, does additional can do additional critical damage. So it's fun to see the critical damage, and then the foe get knocked down, like a boss get knocked down. It's hilarious. But minion, I can one shot a minion with this pretty easily, and bring a lieutenant down in health significantly, about maybe a quarter of health on a boss, a little less than that on AVEB, but it's still fun. It's still fun to toss that debuff out, drop that damage out on them. There's no debuff in Bayonet, but it does do a lethal DOT on the target, and then the knockdown from the proc is pretty funny. Over here, Wolfsbane armor. Since this cost no endurance, I'm following some slotting advice I read on the forums from other builds, and I'm slotting Gladiator's armor resistance, Gladiator's armor special proc that protects against teleport and gives additional defense to all. I believe like 3%. It's gonna add up, and then the knockback protection, gonna be great. Cost no endurance, so it's gonna be a mule. Mule meaning it's gonna hold those procs. Tactical training maneuvers, just 3 slots of luck of the gambler will give us plenty of defense that's going to stack. We're going to get about 15.5% roughly, a little less. Defense to everything in the game. This is going to be important later. Leadership is given a solid, I believe it's given a solid 15% to hit buff, which is cool. And that's really helpful now, especially with harder upper level enemies above 54. If you have leadership on your team stacking with other people's leadership, plus he's double stacking his leadership, the builds, people are going to hit more often and more frequently. Um, Mental training, I just this just a run speed increase in air. Technical training, assault, endurance. Call reinforcements. Everybody's builds. It seems we're slotting the full set of expedient reinforcement into that. It seems to be going to a lot of long recharge pets. People like that. Combat training defensive. Probably one of the niftiest things I found through my forum reading was using this as a mule since it costs no endurance and it buffs your defense, but using it to hold a resistance to all proc from shield wall. That was expensive. I think that was 8 million. And then a scaling damage resistance, which works a little differently than you think it does on the 10. It actually grants consistent damage resistance. I forget the percentage, but it's been wonderful and it's helpful, especially if you start to lose health. Around 10% at very low health. It says it starts off at 0%, but I was looking and I feel like it actually works a little differently than it says it does. Because I swear that I've seen reactive defenses is granting me a static 3%, so it's not zero. As soon as you stick that sucker in, it's giving you a 3% damage resistance on top of that shield wall. So that is amazing. So it works a little differently than advertised on the 10. Let's see, where were we? I gotta get to where I can see the build again. Alright. Good place to slot this. Cost no endurance is on all the time. So I'm getting an extra 8% resistance to all, and this will go up to another 10%, go up to 10% here, which will be 15% resistance to all if I get hit. It's the scaling damage resistance starts kicking in and ramping up the more health you lose. Beautiful proc. And underestimated proc that usually isn't that expensive. Down in Bane Spider upgrade, we chose that from the Bane Spider tree. We didn't choose many of Bane Spider attacks except I think for Bayonet. We've got Unbreakable Guard, just a resistance to buff the resistance. Again, this power costs no endurance, so why not? 7.5 max XP, so boost my XP. I'm sorry, XP hit points, HP, not XP, HP. Boost that up by quite a little bit. And if we look here, well, overall, Bane Spider upgrade is giving me 214 more hit points, and Unbreakable Guard is granting me another. Is that 80 hit points? Jeez, that's a lot. I didn't realize it was that much. Unbreakable Guard is granting me another 80 hit points. It's a percentage, so it's going off of the overall. So that's probably why it's so high. And I've got some other health bonuses from this set. So I'm getting quite a juicy amount of extra hit points. Enough to survive a couple extra hits, and sometimes that's all you need. Alrighty. Let's go back. Um, we've got knockback protection again, and then resistance and defense slotted in this because we can slot. I think you can slot up to four of those knockback protections before you hit, before you can't slot anymore. But it's nice that it's not unique. Cloaking device is holding Luck of the Gambler with that increased global recharge proc everybody loves. Pricey, but it's worth it. Surveillance already I already believe it does. How much damage resistance does it do? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting. I think it does 20% when it hits, and I'm going to hit it often because of my stacked double leadership, which we're going to talk about later. So I don't need to slot accuracy in this. And then I put that chance for resistance debuff in there, which gives me another 20% chance. So if this thing's just, so if you're getting 20% resistance debuff base, then it accidentally hits in another. This adds another 20, I believe. This adds another 20. Then the Venom Grenade. I feel safe in saying I'm keeping at least 40% damage resistance up on most targets when I'm playing this game with people. Very very easily. I've got no doubt backing that claim up. I don't have a computer program that will measure if that's happening. Somebody's got one to prove me right or wrong, but I'm sticking with what I think is going on. Then ChatGPT kind of backed me up on that, but then you gotta take that with a grain of salt. But anyway, I feel comfortable saying I'm doing at least 25% up damage resistance debuff on targets that my team's hitting, if not more. I'm comfortable. It's just amazing because these are all stacking with each other. So he's just throwing out damage resistance left and right. And he would do that anyway as an Arachnos Soldier, but the slotting choices help. We'll roll over to here. This is the slotting I always use for stamina. It just works. Um, I efficacy adapter. Three of those creates improves recovery overall by 1.5%. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it really does matter, and increases your maximum health by 1.3%. But it does a good job without needing a special proc. It's cheap. It's a cheap set. You can get these budget very easy if you're patient. And it doesn't really matter what you slot in there, though I tend to go for the highest endurance modifications I can find. But it does really well in stamina. And in health, I've got Numina or Numina. I still don't know what it is. But anyway, regeneration and recovery. Down here, combat jumping is a great, doesn't cost a lot of endurance. Boost gives you a little bit of a defense boost overall, and is a great mule to hold stuff. It will hold increased recharge speed, a kismet to hit, and additional knockback protection. So I got a ton of knockback protection already baked in here on top of whatever. I believe Soldier of Arachnos get a little knockback protection in general, but this just adds to it. Now we're gonna go to the stacking leadership. So maneuvers is stacked up here. Five, and we've got a global recharge. Got Luck of the Gambler here, so it's doing pretty good. Assault, I just have a generic in there to hold it. You don't need to slot up assault, and you can't really put anything in the slot but a recharge speed and endurance reduction, so it doesn't really pay to slot it up much. One will do. And if you plus three this, but using a catalyst, do I have any? I don't have any here. Using a booster, sorry, you'll get even more endurance reduction. I think like 48. If you do plus three, you'll get 48% endurance reduction across the board. So it's like slotting an endurance or reduction enhancement in every ability you have. No, sorry. I'm thinking about stamina. So no, that doesn't do that. But it boosts damage across the board for everybody. It does not do anything for endurance. I misspoke. Don't listen to that. Tactics. This was a. I only had three slots to put in here. This was a good place to just slot encouraged accuracy. So I'm going to make this power easier to run because you get some endurance reducing and then bust it to hit overall. You get a good deal from that. No kick. I'm never using that. Tough. Tough's got three impervium armor, and impervium armor is actually a really good set to six slot if you can, and it's typically cheap, so that's good. Sorry, I had a little cough there, so I muted so you didn't have to listen to that. Hasten. I've really been thinking about replacing hasten with vengeance, and I may do it, and then move a slot up here to maneuvers. So let's take a look here at his combat attributes and just to see what he's rocking. He's rocking a lot of boosts, but I want to focus on a couple of things. That hit point boost is nice though. That's like a almost 300 additional hit points from the Bane Spider art upgrade and Unbreakable Guard alone. That's amazing. So if we roll down here, could do a little bit better with the recovery but and endurance, but we were doing okay. So let's see. So the damage bonus. Here's our 30% damage boost. Tactical training assault 15% and assault 15%. There's something procking which is causing the up and down. But we're gonna that you're seeing on the screen here. But we're just gonna roll with it. So me and my teammates are gonna do 30% more damage. Just standing there. I'm doing nothing. I'm just standing there, and all of my teammates are doing 30% damage. So not only is he pumping out damage resistance debuff to all damage, and an additional 20% damage resistance debuff to toxic, he's boosting all of his teammates damage by 30%. That means everybody's hitting 30% harder, which I believe is equivalent to giving everybody on their team an extra SO damage SO or more. That's kind of amazing. Recharge timer, not as concerned with that. That doesn't affect everybody, just him, but he's got decent recharge bonus there. Endurance discount's okay. Could be better, but we're just gonna roll with it. Let's see. And then I wanted to show. Did I show to hit? I feel like I missed to hit. There we are. To hit bonus. So he's got 100%, 110% total, but Arachnos soldiers just have good to hit anyway. Their base is good and it just gets better. But Kismet's adding here. That's just for him. But what's interesting is this 15 percent and 13% bonus. It's close to 30%. Very very close. Like 1% off, I think, to hit. Close enough for me to be happy with it. So he's boosting everybody's to hit. That means they're gonna hit more often, more frequently. He's boosting everybody's damage. That means when they hit, they're going to hit harder than they were hitting. And then on top of that, he's boosting everybody's defense. So the defense he's boosting on the team, he's got pretty. Like his defense is already like crazy good. If I were to toggle on support toggle, that would really push his defense up, or it should be. Why is it not? Well, not to everything, but certain types of damage. It boosted it other places. I see where it's boosting it. Additional 3% to certain types of defense. I think smashing, AoE, lethal, fire, and a couple of others. So it's nice. I like the support toggle. So support toggle, he's just helping even more. So tactical training maneuvers is doing like 15.73% defense. Maneuvers is doing 6.45 defense. I could probably fiddle around and make it better, but an additional 21% plus the additional 3% he's bringing when he toggles on his support toggle. He's bringing hefty amounts of defense, and I consider that almost as good as a defender, if not pretty darn close. So you might ask yourself, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. He does all this stuff. Oh, his incarnates are kind of. I went hybrid support, lore, Arachnos pets, because why not? Destiny ageless, judgment, ion, core judgment, interface, and cardiac partial core. You see, I'm at partial and everything, most everything. I haven't gone to the fourth tier yet. Most things are tier three. I just gotta earn more threads and stuff so that he can stuff. But it's already really good. I'm never dissatisfied with this guy. If I take him on something, he's gonna do well. So I've got this on +4. Let's do something annoying. I don't want to go to caves. Let's see if we'll do barrier yellow, which is everybody hates Malta. Malta can be difficult to deal with. There are no travel powers, but here's the secret to the Arachnos soldiers. They are crazy fast. They have an inherent run speed boost on top of mental training, which also boosts their run time and recharge abilities. So you could toggle on the sprint abilities, the sprint and run abilities that you get for free, and move pretty quickly. I really wish it was they got an overall movement rate debuff to all movement, but they don't. It's just run speed, which just kind of makes you sad a little bit. But I'm gonna be not. I'm not gonna be conservative. Why not? I'm gonna just yank out all the pets. Sometimes I, on a big team, sometimes I alternate between the pets, so I always have a pet out. Um, yeah, I was gonna do secondary mutation, but it's not worth it. I don't want to cloud the thing here, but like we are going to. Now this minion, he just goodbye minion. He's a little tougher since he's a +4, but that was nothing. You know, he's just gonna. I'm gonna put these pets on aggressive so they get a little bit more nasty. That lieutenant's gone down. These are +4s, and I'm only 0 +4. I'm not trying to do anything crazy. I just want to show you how well. This is a kind of sparsely populated map, though, even though. There's that knockdown that I love. And then he's just gonna. And he just. And remember, these pets are also getting those boosts. Let's Venom Grenade these guys. This guy. I thought I had bosses turned on, but I'm only getting lieutenants. So what's going on here? I have to check that. I'm pretty sure I turned on bosses. So I don't know what's going on. But yeah, they're just eating these malls alive. If there's a full team on a +4 +8 or +5 +8, the team would be rocking for the most part. Still no bosses. This is a little weird. But we're just going to go with it. I'm going to double check though, because I thought I had bosses turned on. But I'm not seeing any bosses. I'm just seeing lieutenants. And even though this is I'm set it to just, one teammate, I'm not getting a lot of, oh gosh. Okay, bad part about pets, I'm stuck, and you cannot control the pets like you can with the mastermind pets and controller pets, and I'm stuck. So, I'm going to dismiss the big robot. Okay, so I can get out of there. Sorry, hey, it sucks I had to do that, but it's okay. Um, he just wrecks things. I could probably have +2 or +3 or even +4 team to this, and it would have been fine. I don't know why bosses are not spawning. Maybe someone can tell me why. Is there some kind of if you're solo in certain settings, do bosses spawn less, or what's happening? Because I was pretty sure I was set to bosses. I'm gonna do my incarnates because I want to recharge my pets faster in case I need them. Oh, some more damage. But you'll notice we're not missing often. We're not missing much at all. If we're missing at all, we're not missing. And some of this is a little awkward because of me and just trying to talk and figure stuff out while I'm talking. So that's where some of this comes. I really should have debuffed him and then snuck up on him and bayoneted him, because that would have took a good chunk of his health down. But that's okay. We'll try that on the next one. Just want to see here. It's a little bit weird that it says no AV, but I'm sure I said bosses were okay, so I'm not sure what's going on. I had it set to elite bosses and bosses, I thought. But alright, well, this will be kind of fun to do this. I'm going to wait till I get hidden again. I am going to debuff. And before this guy can hit me, I'm going to critical and shave off a chunk of his health points. Not as much as I thought, but again, it's level 54s. So I got to remember, when I'm soloing +2, I'm doing a lot more damage than +54s. But I think +54, 54 is up. Kind of test what your build can do. Pet should be back up soon. So that's fine. Kind of sucked. The big bot was causing us to get stuck in the wall. There's a boss. Alright. Let's do a couple things. We're going to get these guys up. We're going to make sure everybody's on aggressive. And I need to decide what I want to do. I think we are going to hit him with the surveillance debuff. Then we're going to hit him with this bayonet. And then we're going to do the Venom Grenade. And then we're going to hold him. hit my recharge here. The ageless, so I'm nice and recharged. So he vanished because the heat was getting too much for him, so he took off. We can't stop him from teleporting, and I don't know where he ported to. Where he ported to, he's immobilized. Oh, there he is. He came back. And we're gonna hit another Venom Grenade, another Surveillance, little melee damage from this. The nice thing about this build too is that he can, much like a force field defender, he can hang out in melee. He can hang out with the tank. He can get the tank and the scrappers and be just fine. So we took him out. Barrier yellow went down, and the rest of these guys are just gonna be very easy. He was only hard because of the teleporting. Um, I could probably just one-shot this guy and just be done with him. Oh, didn't one-shot him. Gotta remember these are 54, so I'm doing a little bit. They're a little sturdier than if you're doing plus twos. Usually plus twos, he can wipe a minion right on out. Okay, this guy needs to be taught a lesson. We're gonna hit him with surveillance. I don't know what my pets are doing, but they're getting on my nerves. Kind of the weird effect of the lore pets is the lore pets have some controls on them, and those controls end up affecting the other pets, which is kind of interesting. It's like when we just think, I don't know why the game just doesn't enable the mastermind pet control for all pet and just be done with it. Instead, kind of broke it out piecemeal, and I don't know. It's kind of like this guy's giving the whole team build up and himself build up and his pets build up constantly. He tried to teleport, but that didn't work because he teleported up, so we can still get him. So that was kind of a little bit of that. Um, yes, windy weather. We'll finish up that. If those of you who've been watching that, I'm just waiting for a friend to come back from a vacation, and then we'll get that all set up so we can do the last couple missions to get her to 20 and out of Pretoria, and that'll be the end of that series. But I just felt like I wanted to show this off. Budget build. If he had a lot of purples, he'd be even better, which is crazy to think about. But a budget build, rocking defense, resistance of his own that are pretty respectable. Very respectable defense numbers for a squishy. Um, Rocking damage resistance, very respectful amounts of damage resistance. Buffing the team all over the place, granting all kinds of um, resistance debuffs to enemies, so the team's hitting harder. Their hits are doing more damage because of the damage resistance debuff. And then on top of that, they're hitting more frequently because he's good to hit debuff. So just having him on any team is just giving everybody a buff. Everybody is buffed, hitting hard, avoiding damage. It's really good. And he really shines if there is a defender or another soldier of Arachnos or a corruptor or a mastermind. I love teaming this guy with masterminds. He really turns mastermind teams into monsters because most masterminds are also already rocking leadership. And he comes along with those damage resistance debuffs and his double leadership toggles and his additional little bits of pet damage. And on a mastermind team, he's just killing it. An all Soldier of Arachnos team, just forget it. If you've never played in an all Soldier of Arachnos team, every City of Heroes player should experience that. City of Villains player as well. Should experience that because it's crazy. It's ridiculous. I'm surprised it's not talked about more. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a beautiful, beautiful evening.